Oh, shit.
There we go.
Oh, hello.
I can't.
How are you? How's everybody?
Good, Baruch Hashem.
Hey, Baruch Hashem. All good.
Oh, hello, Ben. How's your son doing?
It's all right.
We're going to
It's
ask
the
you
third
a question
parak of
about that.
Brachos Mishnayos together.
Oh, wow. Which Mishnayos?
Brachos.
Brachos. Oh, at least you can tell him
Two
the Gemara's
Mishnayos a
background.
day during this quarantine.
You're telling him all the Gemara's background to it.
I'm trying, but some of it, third parak's a bit dodgy.
Ah.
Trying my best.
Oh, but,
See?
Wish your daughter
Has to
wants to
come
ask
in.
questions.
Oh, Libby Sinetsky is Shana there.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, say hello to each other through Zoom. Oh, even creating actors.
Moshe is Shana there.
Shabbos.
Moshe is Shana there.
Oh,
Mute.
I saw a very nice quote. Why is Leil HaSeder, of all the names to call it Leil HaMitzvahs, Leil Pesach? Why is it called Leil HaSeder? So one pshat is because Seder means organize, order. When you want to do mitzvahs, there's a very lot of mitzvahs, Leil HaPesach. And if you want to do many mitzvahs in one evening, the best way to do it is if you're organized. If you're not organized, what happens is you end up wasting time, losing a very lot of time. So if it's Masuda, it's amazing. A person who's organized can do 10 times as much as somebody who's disorganized. So for Leil HaSeder, it's the night where if you want to succeed, there has to be an order, and that's why I have Kaddish Orchatz, everything's Masuda. But another word I saw, a proper chassid, I've forgotten his name, Shemus Weber, that Leil HaSeder means as follows: the night where you come to the realization that everything is beseder. In the Vrit, if you want to say, how are you? I call beseder, everything's beseder, everything's fine. Leil HaSeder is the night when you come to the realization that everything that's happening in this world is all beseder, it's all okay, it's all organized, it's all settled. Because the emunah that it teaches us, it says Mitzrayim and the Hashgacha Pratis, the Midah Keneged Midah, it's called Leil HaSeder, the night when we come to the realization that everything in this world is beseder. Sure we zeicher to reach it in good health. We're up to Daf Chof Daled Amud Beis. I actually stopped a bit in the middle of a topic. We have shorter dafim these days, but I've been told not to do too much in one day. So we're in the middle of a sugya. The Gemara asks the Shaila, does one say Al Hanissim on Musaf of Chanukah? On Chanukah there is no Musaf, but let's say Rosh Chodesh, which falls on Chanukah, and Shabbos, which falls on Chanukah. Every Chanukah always has a Shabbos, because it's 8 days. It always has Rosh Chodesh Tevis inside. During the Musaf of the Shabbos or of the Rosh Chodesh, which falls on Chanukah, do you have to say Al Hanissim? The Gemara brought a Machlokas, and then the Gemara brought 2 other Amiroim, which seems to say that you do not need to. The Amiroim were discussing a question when a person was a person on Shabbos, which is Yom Tov, does he need to say the bracha when he makes the bracha on the haftarah on Shabbos Mincha, which you only do on Shabbos? We don't do haftarah on Mincha at all. But in those days, they used to do haftarah for Shabbos Mincha. Do you have to mention Yom Tov? The fact is, Yom Tov doesn't usually require the haftarah. I mean, the question is put it as follows: when you have a special day, which would require you to mention the events of the day, like Chanukah, Yom Tov, but the bracha or the tefillah that you're saying now is not because of that special day, but because of a different reason, do you also have to mention that event as well? That means it's Chanukah, which is Rosh Chodesh. Should you mention the fact Al Hanissim in the Rosh Chodesh davening? So the Gemara says like this, Chof Daled Amud Beis, top of the page. I got myself some water, I've got very bad sore throat. I still don't know if I've got it, but I'm not feeling well. We don't pass like any of the previous Gemaras. None of the previous Gemaras. Elo, Yehuda on Bishua ben Levi, don't want Bishua ben Levi, Yom HaKippurim Shcholios b'Shabbos, in Kippur, which is on Shabbos, and Espalel Ne'ilah Tzorich Lasker Shel Shabbos. This is the same kind of question. Ne'ilah is a special tefillah for Yom Kippur. We don't daven Ne'ilah on Shabbos. If Yom Kippur falls on Shabbos, during the Ne'ilah davening, do you need to mention the fact that it's Shabbos as well? Or should you say, look, I'm only davening Ne'ilah because it's Yom Kippur. I'm not davening Ne'ilah now because it's Shabbos. So why should I mention the fact that it's Shabbos? Says Rabbi Shlomo Levi that you do have to. Why? The day is mechuyev in 4 tefillas, meaning Shachris, Musaf, Mincha, and Ne'ilah. We're not counting the Ma'av before. I mean, since the day of Yom Kippur is now obligated in 4 tefillas, and that day is a Shabbos day, therefore you have to mention Shabbos. And that's how we pass it. So for example, if you've got Shabbos and Rosh Chodesh, or Shabbos and Yom Tov, and you're saying the Haftarah of Shabbos, you still have to mention the Yom Tov included. It means whatever, or for example, if you're davening Musaf Rosh Chodesh on Chanukah, then you also have to mention Al Nisim. Even though the Musaf is not part of Chanukah, but since it's the day which is Mechuyev, that day is obligated in 4 different tefillas. That means it's obligated all the mitzvahs, all the tefillas of Shabbos. Therefore, you're also obligated to mention Al Nisim. The day, the day became obligated in 4 tefillas. And that day is unique because it's also Chanukah, it's also Yom Kippur, it's also Shabbos, therefore you have to mention it. It says, well, Kasha Hilchasa, almost Hilchasa Kavi Shlomo Levi. We come on Hilchasa Kavova, Omar Vova. Yom Tov Shechol Yos b'Shabbos, a Yom Tov which falls on Shabbos. Shliach Tzibur Yod Lifnei Ateva Arvis. The Shliach Tzibur goes to daven for Mariv. We have a special tefillah. Mariv is Friday night. It's the only tefillah which you have a bit of a chazor sashatz. What do we say? We say the Bochum in Sheva, right? Morgen Ovis B'Dvor, that long tefillah. You do not mention the Bocha of Yom Tov. That means even though it's Shabbos, which is Yom Tov, you mention Shabbos and Yom Tov. In that tefillah, if let's say Sukkot or Pesach falls on Shabbos, you do not mention during that Shmoneh Morgen Ovis B'Dvor. You finish off Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh HaShabbos, and you do not mention Mekadesh HaShabbos for Yom Tov. If not for Shabbos, there would be no chazan going on Yom Tov saying anything. Since the whole reason we say Mogen Avos is only because of Shabbos, you don't mention Yom Tov. So what says, how can you compare? Even on Shabbos, you don't need to say a bracha. Why? Because there's no din of Chazor Sashatz on Mariv. The Chachamim were masakin because of Sakona, because of the Mazikin. Rashi explains that Friday night, during the week, people would just daven in their houses with their local people around. They didn't go to shul for the night, for Mariv. It was too dangerous. It was pitch black. There was no lights. People didn't go to shul for Mariv. When it came to Friday night, people did. Because they were anyway not working. Since they were not working, they came to shul. But different people would come different times. Since they would come at different times, therefore what would happen is some people would be left in shul at the end. And since the shuls were out in the public, therefore in a quiet place, there was mazikin, there was shading. Since there was shading, therefore, we wanted to make sure that the people who took long over the davening were not left alone. And that's why Chazal were kivea this Bochum Mogen Avos.
Then we anyway say that you shouldn't leave a person alone in shul.
That's if there's only one person. Maybe if there's a few, it's okay. And even from a zikin, maybe because it's in the deserted place, a few people can be hurt by the zikin. The day is obligated in 4 tefillahs. Meaning there's a difference between the Musaf of Chanukah or Yom Kippur, which is Shabbos, and Shabbos, which is Yom Tov regarding Mogen Avos. Regarding Mogen Avos, it's not really a chiyuv tefillah. Since it's not really a chiyuv tefillah, you don't have to mention Yom Tov. On Shabbos, Musaf, which is called Chanukah, there is an obligation to daven the 4 tefillahs of Musaf. Or Shabbos, which is Yom Kippur, there's an obligation to daven Ne'ilah. So therefore, you also have to mention Shabbos. But here, it's not really an obligation, it's just because of the Mazikin, therefore, you don't have to mention Yom Tov at all. Going back to the Mishnah, the first Mishnah by Madlikin, the Mishnah says as follows. Madlikin, we're allowed to light. So the Mishnah says, not with talum, not with fat. Cooked fat is okay. Now, the Tanakhama said don't cook. What they said, it depends if it's cooked or not cooked. That means don't light with it. What they says it depends if it's cooked or not. And the Chachamim say whether it's cooked or not, it's forbidden. The last shitta, the third shitta, is the same as the first shitta. Both of them say you're not allowed to use it. Mentioned earlier, Vuna Morav, that he holds that if you mix a bit of good oil with a lot of non-good oil, then you are allowed to light with it, specifically when it came to these kinds of oils, like where the whole issa is only because it might get mixed into it. So therefore, the Gemara says that we don't know who holds which. That either the Tadekama or the Chachamim, one of them agrees with him that if you mix a bit of kosher oil with the oil with a fat which has been cooked and melted, one is allowed to, and the other Tana holds not. So we've got three shittas in our Mishnah regarding chilaf. Nochma Modi says if it's mavushal, it's okay. Not mavushal, it's not okay. The Tanakama says, and the Chachamim say, either way, it's not okay. But one of them agrees that if you add other oil to it, then it is okay. And we do not know which one of the two agrees with that shit. Says the Mishnah, you're not allowed to use truma which needs to be burnt on Yom Tov. Truma which becomes tummy, a kohen is not allowed to eat it. Not only is not allowed to eat it, it's a mitzvah to burn it. Why should you burn it? Anybody want to suggest the reason? Why should you burn truma tamei? The main reason is because Chas v'Shalom, we don't want you to come to eat it. There are those who hold that there's actually a mitzvah to burn it in order to get rid of it, to destroy it. Okay, but Pashtus, the reason is we don't want you to come to eat it by mistake. You're not allowed to light with itron because of the covet of Shabbos. This is a hard question. Does anybody remember what itron is?
Pitch or like tar.
Yeah, but the Gemara says more than that. The Gemara on Daf Chof Aleph Chof Amud Beis, the bottom of the page says itron psuta de zifsa. That zephyr comes from the wood tree. You heat it very, very hot, and out of it comes itron. Okay. Now the problem with itron, it has a very bad smell, and therefore, if you light it for your light, you'll end up not wanting to sit in the room. So because of the Shabbos, you mustn't light. And they explain b'shem and shmushmin sesame seed oil, b'shem negoizim, nut oil, b'shem and snoinois, radish oil, b'shem and dogim, fish oil. That's the inside of the fish, which has been dissolved or melted. The shemen pakuis. It is made out of a kind of pumpkin, which grows in the desert. The itron over neft, with the itron and with neft. Even neft you're allowed to use. Neft is a kind of oil which has a very, very bad smell. You're only allowed to use olive oil. So we've got three different shittas in our Mishnah, and we'll see more shittas in the Gemara regarding which oils you're allowed to use. Tarfin is the most machmir, only shemen zayis. The Chachamim are the most mekel that you can use any oil. Rabbi Shmuel is in between. He says you're not allowed to use itron, but you don't have to use shemen zayis. Some he permits, some he forbids. Even according to the Chachamim, that you are allowed to light with all the different oils, they do agree with the first Mishnah by Madlikin that Zephyr, Shaiva, and Shemen Kik, those, Shemen Seifa, and Aldo, they agree that that's no good. Says the Gemara, why can't you use Shemen Seifa on Yom Tov? It says, well, if you ain't surfing Kodshim be Yom Tov, you're not allowed to burn Kodshim on Yom Tov. Coming to Pesach, you're allowed to burn on Yom Tov. You're allowed to make a fire for heat. You're allowed to make a fire for cooking. But you're not allowed to make a fire to burn, to get rid of Truma, which is tummy. It says, well, Minah Hanimili. Rashi explains the Minah Hanimili as follows. The halacha normally is asay is deichel loisa asay. There's a loisa asay to burn on Yom Tov for no reason. There's an asay to burn Truma. Since there's an asay to burn Truma, because the Torah says, Ba'ish tisroifu, so therefore, let us burn Truma Tamei on Yom Tov in order, even if we should say asay is deichel loisa asay. Omar Chizkiah v'chintana debei Chizkiah. Chizkiah says, and also we learned in the Bais of the base of Medrash of Chizkiah, Omar Kov le'sesiru menu ad boika. The second word is ad boika or spare. If you're very big into grammar, this pasuk is grammatically difficult. The pasuk says, "Don't leave over it till the morning, and that which is left over till the morning, you should burn it." Now, how could you have written that sentence better? Don't leave it till the morning, and that which is left over, burn it. Because since you've already mentioned, don't leave it until the morning, you no longer need to tell me, and that which is left in the morning, don't eat it. Because you've already told me, don't leave it till the morning, and if it's left over, burn it. Obviously, I worked out that it is left over till the morning. Why is it a second warning for the burning? This pasuk is actually even talking about the Korban Pesach. It's Negah Ta'azim Mitzvah Shem Mashach will come before Pesach. The pasuk says, "Don't leave over the Korban Pesach till the morning, and that which is left over till the morning, burn it." And we're explaining as follows: don't leave it over till the morning means don't leave it over till the morning of the 15th of Pesach. You shecht on the 14th, you eat it that night. And that which is left over till the morning, meaning the next morning, then you shall burn it. Because you're not allowed to burn it on the 15th of Pesach because it's Yom Tov. But the fact that the pasuk adds the words ad boika a second time teaches us that you're not allowed to burn it on Yom Tov. You have to wait till Chol HaMoed to burn it. Again, the pasuk says don't leave it till the morning. Which morning is the pasuk referring to? Is the first morning of Pesach. The first morning of Pesach, that is the 15th of Nisan. Then the pasuk says, and that which is left over till the morning, meaning the following morning. Because if it meant the 15th, you will need to say morning again. And now it's left over to the following morning, that you have to burn. Meaning, once it's left over to the next morning, then you should burn it. Don't burn it before, because you're only allowed to burn on the 16th of Pesach, not before. And from here we learn that you're not allowed to burn kodshim on Yom Tov. Abai Omar Kol, the pasuk says, "Oilas Shabbos b'Shabbato." Every oil of Shabbos on its Shabbos. Not a weekday oil on Shabbos. For example, let's say on Friday afternoon you never managed to burn the korban tomid, then you're not allowed to burn it on Shabbos. If you didn't manage to bring your korban tomid on the weekday and it comes to Yom Tov, you're not allowed to burn it. That means the pasuk says oilas Shabbos b'Shabbato. Bring the oil of Shabbos on Shabbos, and that teaches me the oil of Shabbos you can bring on Shabbos, but the oil of a weekday you cannot bring on Shabbos. Therefore, for example, if you got a Friday afternoon oil and you never managed to burn it on Friday afternoon, you're not allowed to burn it on Shabbos. Kal v'chomer, if you're not allowed to burn a kosher korban on Shabbos, kal v'chomer, you're not allowed to burn a posel korban on Shabbos. And the same thing regarding Yom Tov, le'olas chol b'Yom Tov. You're not allowed to bring a weekday korban on Yom Tov. So therefore, just like the pasuk tells us that Shabbos korban only on Shabbos, and you can't bring a weekday korban on Shabbos and Yom Tov, kal v'chomer, a posel korban, you're not allowed to bring on, or you're not allowed to burn on Yom Tov. It's a kal v'chomer. Says the Gemara writer, Rav Omar Kol, the pasuk says, Hu levado yoseh lochem. The whole pasuk says, Achash ochel lechol nefesh, that which is eaten by anybody, Hu levado yoseh lochem. The words hu and levado are both spare. The pasuk could have said, Achash ochel lechol nefesh, that which a person can eat, yoseh lochem, you're allowed to do. Why does it say hu levado? If I say to you, you're allowed to on Yom Tov do oichel nefesh, I don't need to say, only that alone you're allowed to do on Yom Tov. I can say that which is oichel nefesh, you're allowed to do on Yom Tov. Why does it have to say hu levado? That alone you're also lochem. So the Gemara says hu v'lo machshivin. You're not allowed to prepare. You're not allowed to on Yom Tov do machshivin. Meaning, let's say for example you need an oven. Are you allowed to build an oven on Yom Tov? You want to cook? Are you allowed to build an oven on Yom Tov? No. Why not? Oh, it's oichel nefesh. If I don't have an oven, I won't be able to cook. The answer is it's called machshir oichel nefesh. We're going to have a big perk about it later. That anything which is only a preparation, only to help prepare for food, that you're not allowed to do on Yom Tov. So who is coming to exclude machshir oichel nefesh? For example, making a knife, building an oven, all that's forbidden. So who v'lo machshirin levado, You're not allowed to have bismillah on the wrong day, that you might have thought from Kalvachim. This is a bit of a cheshbon, try and bear with. The Gemara over here says you have a special drasha, who to tell you not machshirin, levado to tell you if a bris is shlim bismano, let's say a baby is not well, and it gets better first day Pesach, let's say it's the 10th day, you're not allowed to do bismillah on that day of Pesach. You're not allowed to do bismillah shlim bismano on Yom Tov. And that we learn from the word levado. Without the word levado, you might feel that you are allowed to do bismillah on Yom Tov. Now, why would you have thought you're allowed to do bismillah on Yom Tov? The answer is the asibah kalvachima. We would have learned from kalvachima. Kalvachima goes like this. What's more important? Making sure to keep to the halachas of tzoras or doing the avodah in the Beis HaMikdash? Nafkamina would be tzoras. Very good, tzoras. Where would the nafkamina be? Let's say there's only one kohen that can shecht my korban Pesach, for example. And that kohen has got tzoras. And therefore, the only way for him to shech korban Pesach is for him to cut off the tzoras and then go to Beis HaMikdash. What's the halacha? He's not allowed to cut off the tzoras, and we do not bring the korban Pesach if the kohen's got tzoras. So if you were to put on two levels, tzoras and avodah the Beis HaMikdash, which one would you put higher? Tzoras is higher than korban Pesach. Tzoras is higher than avodah. What's more important, avodah or Shabbos? The avodah of the Beis HaMikdash or Shabbos? The answer is, avodah is more important. Because the avodah of the Korban Tamid is brought on Shabbos. So avodah is higher than Shabbos because we do the avodah even on Shabbos. So if tzoras is more important than the avodah, and the avodah is more important than Shabbos, so if somebody would ask you what's more important, tzoras or Shabbos, which one would you say? Of course, tzoras is. If tzoras is more important than avodah, and avodah is more important than Shabbos, of course, tzoras is more important than Shabbos. Tzoras is more important. If Kohen's got tzoras, better keep the halachas, not do avodah. Avodah is more important than Shabbos because you're allowed to do the avodah on Shabbos. You have to shecht on Shabbos korban tamid. Now, what's more important, tzoras or bismillah? The halacha is that if a baby has tzoras on the part which the mother has to cut off to do bismillah, the halacha is he cuts it off. Oh, what is halacha? You're not allowed to cut off tzoras. The Torah says that bismillah is more important than tzoras. So he goes bismillah, then tzoras, then avodah, then Shabbos. Or Yom Tov, because halacha is the avodah, you can also do it on Yom Tov. So now I'll ask, what about doing a bris? Now, this halacha that you cut off tzoras by bismillah is whether there's bismillah is bismano or shlev bismano. Let's say a baby is not well, it gets better after 10 days. Then you're allowed to cut off the tzoras, even if it's after 10 days of bismillah. Now, the halacha is, you might have therefore made an obvious kalvachema. What's more important, do bismillah shlev bismano on Yom Tov, or not doing it on Yom Tov? What would you have worked out from this kalvachema? Anybody got the cheshbon clear? No?
Do on Yom Tov.
Oh, do it on Yom Tov. Why? Tzoras, we said, Mila is more important than Tzoras because you cut off the Tzoras for Mila. Tzoras is more important than Avodah because a Kohen can't do Avodah if he's got Tzoras. Avodah is more important than Shabbos or Yom Tov because we do the Avodah on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Kavachim, that Bismillah is more important than Yom Tov. Comes along the pasuk and says, Hu levadoi, who to tell you not machshirin? Levado to tell you that Mila Shlei Bismano is not allowed on Yom Tov. If you made that whole cheshbon, that's why we need the special drasha Levado to tell you that even though according to the cheshbon that would be true, but it's not true, we do not do Bismillah on Yom Tov. Even though the Kavachima which seem to dictate that we should, we don't.
There's a whole machlekes where the second day Yom Tov is doing, but that's London based and someone else.
You don't do it on second day Yom Tov. Am I not
I'm
right?
saying there's a cheshbon involved where the Leib's manna is the second day Yom Tov.
Well, we pass in the Maisa, it's not.
No, it's machlekes.
Yes.
You
never had a Bismillah second day Yom Tov Shlei Bismano?
Not Leib's manna. Had Bismano.
Rashi Omar Shabbos Shabbosin Asay top of Chaf Amud Aleph. Have the Yom Tov Asay Velois Asay. Yom Tov is Asay and Lois Asay. Burning Kodshim is Asay. In Asay Lois Asay Asay doesn't push away Lois Asay and Asay. So if somebody would say to you, the Mishnah tells us, you're not allowed to burn kodshim on Yom Tov. So why not? Burning kodshim is naseh. Let the aseh be dreicha lo yisaseh. How many answers would you be able to give him? Hopefully 4, starting backwards. The last answer is that Yom Tov is aseh and lo yisaseh. It's the aseh of burning kodshim can't push away aseh and lo yisaseh. That's the last answer. The other answer is from the word. Sorry, I didn't conclude. The hula vadoi teaches you that even bismillah you're not allowed to. If bismillah you're not allowed to, kavachoyme you're not allowed to burn kodshim, because just like bismillah you can wait for another day, you can burn kodshim another day. Another drasha is from the fact that it says olas Shabbos b'Shabbatoi and not olas chol b'Shabbatoi. Kavachoyme, if you're not allowed to do kodshe korbanos on Shabbos, kavachoyme not allowed to do posel korbanos on Shabbos. And for the 4th drasha is ad boiker. The Torah says ad boiker twice. There are 4 mekoros that teach us they're not allowed to burn kodshim psulim on Yom Tov. Says the Gemara. But Yom Tov u'da'aseh. On Yom Tov it's forbidden. But the weekday it's correct. That means you're allowed to burn your truma tameh and get pleasure from it. And this is an important distinction between kodshim and truma. If you've got kodshim which are tameh, when you burn them, you're not allowed to get any benefit. Let's say you bring a korban shlomim, and the shlomim becomes tameh. So you think to yourself, wow, what do I have to do with the kodshim? What do you do with the shlomim that's tameh? What do you do with it? Anybody know? What do you do with the shlomim that's tameh? You burn it. So imagine you come home, you say to your wife, oh, it's a cold day today, right? The shlomim anyway became possible. Let me burn the shlomim and bring myself a heat in the house. The answer is that's awesome. But let's say you get a portion of truma and you're cold and the truma is tameh. You're allowed to use your truma which is tameh. Currently, you have to keep track of all of this. If you've got tameh truma, you can use it to light up your house, that you should have lots of light and lots of warmth. My time, why are you allowed to? Just like it's a mitzvah to burn kodshim which is tameh, also it's a mitzvah to burn truma which is tameh, because it's domiyat to kodesh and you might come to takala. When you're burning it to hani mimeno, you can get pleasure from it. Where did the Torah say? We don't have Hashem speaking to Aaron and Kohen, he said, I've given you as mishmeres to Mosai, the guarding of my trumas. The word trumas in this pasuk is spelled plural, trumosai, my trumas. V'shtei trumas hakosim edaber. Achas truma tahora, v'achas truma tameo. V'amachmona lecha for you, shalcha tehei, it should be yours. La'asiko tachas tavshulcha, to heat it up under your pot, underneath your cooked food. That means the Torah says Hashem told Aaron, I'm giving you 2 trumas. What are the 2 trumas? There's only 1 truma. Answer: one is truma tahora, one is truma tameh. Now, truma tahora, when Hashem gave it to Aaron, what did he give it to him for? To eat it. But truma tameh is not allowed to eat it. So what's the Torah mean that Hashem gave Aaron truma tameh? The answer is he gave it to him to get pleasure from heating. Because if he's not allowed to get pleasure from heating, and what he has to do with it is burn it and get rid of it, in what way has Hashem given it to him? What way is it his? It must be his to get some pleasure from it. What pleasure is heat? So from this pasuk we learn that a kohen is allowed to enjoy the heat and the light burnt truma tameh. I did not consume and burn with it when it was tameh. That pasuk is talking about ma'aser sheni. Ma'aser sheni is produce, the second mice that you give, you take it to Yerushalayim and you eat it there. And you're not allowed to eat it in its stomach. Now, why is the pasuk saying mimenu? Mimenu yatom mavir. From it, you're not allowed to burn and consume. But you're allowed to. But shem of tumah which got burnt, which became tameh, that you are allowed to burn and consume with its tameh. Let's say as follows: mimenu yatom mavir. That you're not allowed to burn from it. But you'd be allowed to burn and consume shemen of hekdesh of kodesh that became tameh. When do you have shenitma that became tameh? When do you have shemen shel kodesh shenitma? When do you have shemen of kodesh that became tameh? Which shemen? When do you have oil which is kodesh? No. Anyway, stuck at Torah, you spend time doing Chumash Rashi. There's a lot of Chumash Rashi in last week's parsha and this week's parsha about the Korbanos, the Menachos. The Menachos, you always had to bring a lug of shemen. A lug of shemen is about half a liter of oil. If you bought, that's the minimum amount. If you bought half a liter of oil for your Korban Mincha and it became tummy, can you then go home and use it for your candles? No. Says the Gemara, why do we darshan that you are allowed to? Mimenu, from it you're not allowed to, but this you're allowed to. They became the kodesh became tummy. Says, well, lav kavachimu is not a kavachimu. Ma ma'isa sheni, which is much more kat. There's no hilchas zoros on it. It's much kat. The Torah says you're not allowed to use it when it's tummy. Kodesh chamu you're not allowed to use it when it's tummy. Kodesh chamu le'kol shekei. Kodesh, which is chamu, is not kavachimu that you're not allowed to. So of course you're not allowed to use hekdesh, let's say korban mincha oil, when it is kavachimu that le'kol shekei, it's also. Tuma as well, lema kavachimu, let's say kavachimu, tuma nami lema kavachimu, lema kavachimu, let's say it's a kavachimu. And therefore the kavachimu should tell me that you're not allowed to use tuma when it's tummy. Hoksim mimenu, says the word mimenu. That means the word mimenu is excluding. Only one thing is also tummy, not something else. So we say ma'aseh sheni is forbidden when it's tummy, the Torah says explicitly. When the Torah says mimenu is coming to exclude something. So what's it coming to exclude? Is it coming to exclude truma, or is it coming to exclude kodshim? Umaro isa. What made you see to exclude the truma and not hekdesh? Mistaba kodesh lemamatino. I'm not going to be mamayit kodesh from this chumrah that you're not allowed to use it. I'm not going to be mamayit it for lemamatino. I'm not going to be mamayit it from the chumrah not eating when it's tummy. Shekain simon panak akas. Now there's a very lot in kodshim. When the Gemara wants to list us out a list of chumras regarding a certain korban, a certain avodah, it uses the initials. So we've got 6 things which hekdesh is more chumra than truma. Pigul, noisa, korban, meila, kois, v'asel, oinu. We have to explain that we're talking about 2 kinds of oil. Oil which you got as truma, and oil which you got as a korban mincha. Both of them became tummy. Now, the Torah tells us by ma'aseh sheni, you're not allowed to eat it when it's tummy. But since the Torah uses the word mimenu, from it, we dash and mimenu, from it, I'm not allowed to when I'm tummy. But from kodshim or from tumah, one of them, I am allowed to when it's tummy. Now the question is only from which one am I allowed? Am I allowed from hekdesh when it's tummy, or from tumah when it's tummy? So we're going to have to establish which is more chomer, which one's more kodesh, which one's more stringent. So that way we should then decide which one's forbidden when it's tummy. So the Gemara says I've got a list of 6 things that the hekdesh is more chomer than tumah. What are the 6 things? Pigul. We're going to go through a bit of a cheskotchim, fascinating cheskotchim. Actually, also Rashi in this week's parsha. Pigul is that if you think when you're shechting or doing any important part of the avodah that I'm going to eat or burn this korban at the wrong time, the korban is possible immediately. For example, a shlomim is allowed to be eaten for 2 days. If when I shecht a shlomim, when I sprinkle the blood, I think to myself, I'm going to eat the shlomim in 3 days' time, then immediately on the very same day, because I had the thought I'm going to eat in 3 days' time, therefore the korban is completely pigul, and if you eat it, the person's chayav kos. That's pigul. Pigul is when you shecht something with intention to eat at the wrong time. Noisa is actually if it was left over. For example, the shlomim was allowed to be eaten for 2 days. You thought to eat in 2 days, so it was fine. But after 2 days, you never finished it. So you have left over to the 3rd day. That's noisa. Korban, that all hekdesh has got a hilchas korbanos. Now, shekin truma does not have that. Me'ila, there's a special korban me'ila you bring. If chas v'sholom a person is nena from hekdesh, if a person is nena from hekdesh, a zor is nena from hekdesh, she has to be a korban me'ila, which you don't have to be a truma. Of course, a zor that eats truma, or tumah which is tumah eaten by a kern, there's a chiyuv kos. But also a person who hasn't yet buried his dead is not allowed to eat hekdesh. Mashikin, all of these 6 things do not apply to truma. What are these 6 things that do not apply to truma? Let's go through them. Pigul, there's no dim pigul by truma because no such thing as eating it at the wrong time. No, so there's no such thing as leftovers by truma either. Korban, truma is not a korban. Me'ila, there's no din me'ila if you eat truma. Kos, one does not get kos for eating truma. What does one get for eating truma? Does anybody know? If Chasham Yisrael eats truma, what does he get? He gets misa b'dei shomayim. What's the difference between kos and misa b'dei shomayim? Misa b'dei shomayim, one dies young.
Young, yeah.
Kos, one dies young, and one's children also die. So misa is not quite as bad. But also la'oinen. Truma is permitted to an oinen. It's very interesting to Russia that an oinen is not allowed to eat hekdesh, but is allowed to eat truma. Says the word Adava, but I'm going to find you things that truma is more chomer than oinen. Than the hekdesh. Truma lememetina. Shuma made truma from all these chumras and not eating in your tummy. Shkein machpas. What's the before we had penakachas? Now I've got machpas. What simon? Shkein machpas simon. What's the simon? Misa. First eats truma when he's tamei or zo is chai misa. Chomish if eat truma when he's chai a fifth. Masha'inke hekdesh if a kohen's allowed to eat it, there's no chomish. Top of chafei and base. But ain't no pidyon, you can never redeem truma, and hekdesh you can redeem it if it got a mum before you shecht it. You never, truma is never permitted to Yisrael. Masha'inke hekdesh is sometimes permitted to Yisrael. What is hekdesh permitted to Yisrael? When is the Yisrael allowed to eat a hekdesh? I just had the Parshas Vayikra, Shlomim. Shlomim, a part was eaten by the Kohen, part by the Mizbeach, and part by the owners. So an owner is allowed to eat hekdesh. So truma is always forbidden to Yisrael, but hekdesh sometimes permitted. So we see that hekdesh has got some chumas and truma has some chumas. So who told you that truma is also not? Sorry, who told you hekdesh is also this tummy, not truma? Hanoch nefishon. Those are more. Alternatively, kodesh chomu shkin onush koros. The punishment of koros is much, much greater, and since it's much, much greater, so therefore that punishment is much worse. Therefore, we say that hekdesh is more chomu than truma. So now let's get to
say that. Can you make a comment based on the fact that the chomer has more chamurs than the cow?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So now let's briefly summarize. Both kodshim and truma, if they become tomei, you have to burn them. The difference is by kodshim, you're not allowed to get pleasure when you're burning it. By truma, you are allowed to get pleasure while you're burning it. Why? The Gemara so far has given us two droshes. One is mishmeres trumoisai. Truma is plural. One toy, one tomei, it's yours. And the other one is that blobialti mimenu betome, from it when it is tomei. Ma'ashe'ink is something else. I'm allowed to use it when it's tomei. What's that? That is truma. And what way is truma? So, and the word says, how do you know mimenu is coming to tell you truma, not hekdesh? Because hekdesh is more chomu than truma, either because it's got more chumas or because it's got the inish of koros. And therefore, the two droshes tell us that by truma you are allowed to get pleasure, by hekdesh you not. And Nachman Be'esel Omar the Pasuk says, Titein loy v'loy le'oivoi. You should give him and not his fire. From the Pasuk says, Ve'ishis golcha titein loy v'loy le'oivoi. Now, what happens if I've got truma? Some of it is produce. Some of it is toy, some of it is tummy. So I need to take truma for the kohen. So what do I think? Being a karga, I want to save money. I'll separate the bit which is tummy, give that to the kohen, and then the toy I'll keep for myself. Says the pasuk, no, give to him, meaning that he has to gain from it, not that his fire should gain from it. It's a raya that his fire is allowed to get pleasure. If his fire was not allowed to get pleasure, then why does the pasuk darshan to him and not to his fire? If it's tomei, even his fire can't get pleasure. Is a raya that the fact that it says give it to him but not to his fire is that if it's tomei, his fire is allowed to get pleasure. That means like this. There are two nekudas of here. From this pasuk, we're learning that you're not allowed to take truma on that which is tomei for that which is toy, because it's not fair. You're giving the kohen something which he can't even use personally. He has to put it into his fire. At the same time, we learn that he is allowed to put his truma tomei in his fire, because if he wasn't allowed to put his truma tomei in his fire, then he wouldn't be allowed to either. The pasuk wouldn't say loiv loiv loiv. There's a very pshat thesis at the top of this Amud, which says something which is very fundamental to me following. Is that who told us that pshat and posuk? Maybe titel loy, give to him, veloy, and not to give it to the bin. What's the shaila over here? The question is, we're not sure if a kohen, when he gets tamei truma, is he allowed to burn it to get pleasure from the fire? Or is he mechuyev to burn it and get absolutely no benefit from it whatsoever? Where do we see in the pasuk loy veloy loy? Maybe on the contrary, maybe the pasuk tried to say to him, titel loy, give it to him, and not that he should have to throw it in the bin. And from there you see that truma, which is tamei, he's not allowed to get any pleasure from it whatsoever. Where do you see that he's allowed to get pleasure from this burnt? It says Tesis a moedik pshat. Because tite means to give a present. If you're going to give him something which he has to throw in the bin, you've not given him a present. You've given him nothing. Since that's called giving him nothing, so that wouldn't even be the word tite, it would be nothing. So since the Torah says tite, give it him, and then the word loy is spare, so again, so what's the pasuk teaching? Tite means to give it, which means he has to benefit. Loy means to him, which also means that's benefit. What's the extra loy? The answer is to him, benefited to him directly, and not an indirect through the fire. And from there we see that he would be allowed to pleasure from the fire, because if he wasn't allowed to get pleasure from the fire, then the Torah should just say titin, give it, and then obviously it has to be told, because if it's tummy, he's not allowed to get pleasure from it anyway. He has to burn it to get the pleasure, so he wouldn't be the word titin. But the Torah has to say loy, 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 teaches us that he can get epis of pleasure, fire, but not pure pleasure. Rabbi Shimon says he's not allowed to light the Shabbos candles with itron because it has a bad smell. My tama. Omar Rova, some say Rabbo, Mitoch Shvei Chuyva, because God has bad smell. Gzeir Shem Yinichenu v'Yetze, he'll leave the fire and leave the room. Omar Lea walk out. Omar Lea Abai v'Yetze, let him walk out the room. Omar Lea Shani look as neighbor Shabbos Chuyva.
Enough now.
Why?
And look as neighbor Shabbos Chuyva, lighting the candles on Shabbos is a Chuyva. In order that a person should have mechabed Shabbos, so therefore you have to eat in a light room. In a lighted room, that is a chiyuv to eat in a lighted room. Rashi quotes the Gemara in Yoma very, very briefly. That the Gemara in Yoma says that when the person eats in a dark room, he doesn't feel satisfied because he doesn't see the food. So Rashi uses even a lotion that you should eat in a room as bright as the day. It's mashma from Rashi that one candle is only a bit yevet. You should have as many candles as possible to make it bright. You can see what you're eating. And look as neighbor Shabbos chiyuv, one's obligated to light Shabbos candles. Light washing your hands and feet on Erev Shabbos before Shabbos comes in with shus. It's only permissible, you don't have to. And the Yomi mitzvah, I say that it's a mitzvah to wash your hands and feet for Shabbos. My mitzvah. What's the mitzvah? Like which mitzvah? What mitzvah is it? To Omar Yehuda Marav Kachim in Hogesh Rabbi Yehuda Ba'aloi. This was the minig of Rabbi Yehuda Ba'aloi. Every Shabbos on Friday afternoon, we're able to bring him a bowl, meleo chamin full of hot water. V'roichetz ponov yodav v'raglov, and he would wash his hands, his face, his hands and his feet. Umisatef would wrap himself up in the cloak. V'yoshev, and he would sit with mistinim amitzuyonim, with linen sheets, with mitzuyotzin, which have tzitzis on them. V'doim el malach Hashem tzvokos, he would resemble the malach in his preparation for Shabbos. Where you talmid of mechabin mimenu, they would hide from him kanfik sus on the corners of the garments. Omar lohen, bonai, my sons, lokach shonisi lochem, I have not taught you this. Sodin betzitzis, lokach shonisi lochem, I have not taught you this. Sodin betzitzis, a linen sheet in tzitzis, b'shamai poit misil mechayvin, malach kitiv b'misil. The Torah says, just together, kedilim ta'aselacha, make tzitzis, and leisil ba'shatnas. Don't wear shatnas, and the mitzvah of tzitzis are mentioned in the same breath. Parshas Kedusha. Sorry, Parshas Kiseitzi. So Parshas Kiseitzi, the Torah says, don't wear kilayim, don't wear shatnas, and wear tzitzis. The fact that the two are together, from there we have machlokes b'shamai and b'silo. B'shamai say you're not allowed to wear tzitzis that have kilayim. Right. So if you've got linen sheets, you cannot put on it tzitzis, because tzitzis nowadays techeles was blue wool. You are not allowed to put on tzitzis on linen cloth. Beis Hillel hold the fact that the Torah puts the two together is to teach us that you're allowed to wear kilayim by tzitzis. So therefore, Rabbi Yehuda Ba'aloi would put on tzitzis on his linen garments because he held like Beis Hillel. And they didn't put on tzitzis on the linen clothes. And he said to me, I don't know what you're doing. The halacha is like b'shamai. V'inu sovi, they held gezeh mishum ksus lailo. The halacha is, tzitzis, clothes you wear at night, specifically for the night, do not require tzitzis. Why? Anybody know? Why don't we wear tzitzis in your night clothing? It says,
when once you're asleep, you're not having any mitzvahs.
What happens if before you fall asleep? That you have to be able to see it. At night you can't see.
Because it might touch your body.
No, Rashi brings the drush of V'isam oisoy. They have to be able to see it.
Then
at
if
night
you
can't see it.
If you have a sleep in the afternoon, you have to wear tzitzis.
A garment which is made for day is chayv. A garment which is made for night is potter. It's not so much if you're awake or asleep. It depends which kind of garment it is. So a garment which is made for the night, since it's v'isam oisoy, you don't get to see it, it's potter from tzitzis. Now, what would happen is, if we allow people to put on kilaim on the tzitzis because of the fact that the Torah permits it. So people who would put on clothes which are meant only for the night, which do not require tzitzis, they would put on tchelas on it as well. And there would be kilaim shalei b'mokem mitzvah. So therefore they forbade it. It's a gzeh because of a night garment. And since it's a gzeh because of a night garment, therefore we don't put on tzitzis even during the day. Now the Gemara, because we mentioned the mitzvah of Shabbos, lighting candles, we bring a pasuk. But tiznach nisholoi nafshi, pasuk in Eicha. Noshisi tova. I was lost, rejected from peace. My soul lost and was rejected from peace. Noshisi tova, forgotten good. My tiznach nisholoi nafshi. What does it mean that my soul was rejected or forgotten from good? Omar b'vozu ad lokas nei b'Shabbos, that we were unable to light anymore the Shabbos candles. And once there was no near Shabbos, there's no peace. Because when a person eats in the dark, he stumbles and he gets irritable. No, shisi teva, I've forgotten good, I've lost good. It's not being able to go to the bathhouse. It's not being able to wash your hands and feet in hot water. It's a nice bed. Pleasant bed, the kelim noim sholel, a nice kelim, nice clothes, nice spreadsheets, nice pillows and duvets on it. Kelim noim sholel, a nice kelim on it. That a nice bed, that when a person doesn't have that, that's what means the shisi tova. Abava omar zu mitem mutzas, it means a bed which is spread out and set. The isha mekushetes, and a woman that's got good midas, that's how the Mashor explains, like the word kshut atzmachol, purify yourself, beautify yourself, le tabidei chachomim for tabidei chachomim. That a Talmud Chacham needs to have a mitzvah mutzas, but that's lost, then that is considered the shisi tova. I mean, the Apostle says two things: I've lost peace, and the shisi tova. The question is what the two things represent. The world brings to either it's the Shabbos or the bathhouse, washing hands, or a nice bed. Ezu Ashim, who is considered wealthy? Rashi says the Gemara asks the question. The Afkimina is to know what to aspire to, what you should make an effort to attain. As long as you're happy with what you've got, that's divrei amer. Siman matkas, it's the Vashatevus of all the Talmidei Chachamim mentioned. Mem is Meir, Tes is Talfa, and Kuf is Rabbi Akiva, and Samach is Rabbi Yossi. Talfa name calls Sheishto Meir Kromim 100 vineyards, or Meir Sodos 100 fields, or Meir Avodim She'ivdin Bohen. And 100 servants working, 100 servants working in those fields. Pleasant wife, that she's got good, pleasant behavior, then that is wealth. Anybody who's got a bathroom next to his table, meaning next to where he eats, the person who eats, he should really go to the bathroom first. And therefore, if a bathroom is far away, it's a very, very difficult thing. So having a bathroom next to where you eat makes it much more pleasant. Tanya Mishum Nolazah says, you're not allowed to light with soy, which is a kind of perfume, a kind of oil that comes out of the tree. Because it has a good smell, you might use it, you might benefit from it, you might take some from it. That means the halacha is if you've got a big bowl and there's a wick inside it and it's going to burn, let's say, for 10 hours, and you take some of the oil out of the bowl to add to your dressing, or you pour in more oil to make the candle burn longer. Either way, you've been over an Issa D'Oraisa by taking some of the oil out. You've been over on the Chaba. You're putting out the flame because eventually it'll go out. And by putting oil in, you're over on Navi and burning it longer. This is this is I'm not got time for it now, but it's an important question about time switches. Is an Issa, these plastic time switches, which are not electrical, to add or minus notches, is it comparable to here where you're adding oil? Many poskim are more maker regarding time switches because there the whole oil is one body. We'll come to it again later. So the point is that since this oil has a very pleasant smell, if people were to light on it Friday night, there's a chance that a woman will come and see a big bowl of oil, smell nice, and her candle's burning. She'll take a little bit to make herself smell nice. And then she'll be over on the Shabbos. Because of that, we do not light with this kind of oil on Shabbos. Only Abai said to him, off, because it flies about or floats. What's the article translate off? Is it floats, it flies? Not a good translation.
Volatile.
Vaporizes.
Volatile.
What? Oh, yeah.
Volatile.
Volatile. Rashi says that it sticks to it's volatile. Volatile is an interesting word. Okay. Volatile. Okay. Volatile. Volatile is like it explodes. What happens is the oil easily spreads around the room. And then it will go and burn down the house. Since it will burn down the house, you can't use it. So what it burns down the house? Some say it's a danger and if you're never allowed to use it. Some say that you might come to Mechal Shabbos and the person will try to save your house. So the Gemara says, one and another reason. Chodom, if they shoot off. One, because it flies, it's volatile. I don't like the word volatile, I have to tell you. Does an article not use another word for it afterwards? Volatile. Okay, maybe. You might come to benefit from it, you might come to use it. Now we'll finish off very quickly with a very tragic story. And it gives a message. There was a mother-in-law, she hated her daughter-in-law. She said to her, Zil Ikshit, go and adorn yourself in Mishcha the Afalsimo. That go and adorn yourself with oil of Afalsimo, which is this oil, this tsori. It's this kind of oil which smells very nice and it's volatile, or it flies around. It vaporizes. Oslo Ikshit. So she adorned herself with this oil. He asked us when she came, Omolos, the mother-in-law said to her, Zil Isli Shraga, go and light a candle.
Was it on Shabbos?
What? No, it wasn't Shabbos. Oslo, she went, Oslo Isla Shraga, the fire, she lit a candle, in Pachpon Nura, the candle, the light, blew or caught onto her, and burnt her down. In Pachpon Nura, the wind, the fire blew on her or spread on her, and consumed her and burnt her to death. And that's why we see that it's not a good oil to light with. Ate up. It is interesting. I got an idea for a few days after Shabbos. I got it today. And it's got there a very nice letter, if you got a chance to read it, from the Belzer Rebbe, advising how should one behave during these days. And he says the ikka is to be kind and pleasant and in good humor. He says, there has to be a constant feeling of simcha around the home. You see from this Gemara, what's the purpose of this Gemara? The Gemara is teaching us how far things can go when a person is not careful. And he says that over here, because he brings in his letters in Amidia about which page, there's a page of a lot of letters, it's very, very small print. I think it's a shame they didn't translate it into English. That he writes a whole letter that he brings from many Chassidish Musas for him, that when a person is besimcha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu treats him with bracha. And when a person treats others with midas hadin, then Hashem treats his levchas with midas hadin. So a person has to treat everybody around him with midas harachamim. Should we say to continue treating with midas harachamim? We're up to Chavav Amud Aleph, about 6 lines down. It is true that we did quite a bit today again, but it's short dafim. We are going to have longer dafim later. But think, how is everybody? It's an opportunity to treat each other with midas harachamim. How does the article translate to stapik? Stapik means to use. Shema stapik mimenu shaya. I don't have an English article. What does it say? Shema stapik, maybe benefit from it. Partake. Use it. Partake. Okay, partake. It's nice to have a good English. If you've got very good English, it's a good thing. Many times, read something, somebody writes in a nice, good English, good language. If you ever get a chance to read the Chazon Ish, he has beautiful, beautiful letters. And what's nice about his letters, people say to me, why do you enjoy them so much? After I've seen other people quote him the whole time. It's not that he says ideas which others don't say, which he does as well. But his language is so powerful. It's just amazing language. So the same thing is sometimes Havdil, obviously. Sometimes if you get a good language, it helps a lot. Is everybody okay? Is everybody well?
Surviving. Yeah.
Really learning every day.
Getting through it.
How's the shop? When are you closing, Yehuda?
I'm off now for this week. I've got the virus.
Oi.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are you sure? How do you know for definite?
I've spoken to doctors. They basically confirmed that I've got it. I've got high temperature. Feel up.
My uncle in London's got it. He's in the hospital.
Okay.
I've been not well all week and a half, and I'm still not sure if I've got it.
Yeah, they said that I've got it, so I'm going to stay off for 7 days.
You get the medal.
The shop will close on Tuesday, probably. Next Tuesday.
What happens if your partner gets it, then what?
I'm just stuck. No, I've got staff. I've got staff to deal with it. So.
How are his parents?
You're well.
Yehuda, does his mother have it?
His mother has it, yeah.
Is she okay?
Yeah, Baruch Hashem, a lot better. She's more dehydrated. She had it already last Shabbos. But she's more dehydrated than anything from it. His father also has it.
Yeah, so
In London, it's really bad from what I hear. My parents are in London, they tell me it's really like...
Yeah, my great uncle's got it. He's in the hospital now. He's on a respirator, I think.
Who's a great uncle?
Yankel Freifeld.
Where he lives in London?
Yeah, on Bridge Lane.
Very good. Okay, let's say something good news. Anybody got any good news to say?
Parklight's been cancelled.
Oh, nice. Good news.
So what a shame.
Yeah.
Imagine they could ask me to sing and got a good wage. They didn't ask me to sing. No, that's why I can't cancel the.
Would you have said yes?
Well, it depends how.
I
I make a joke, but children always like to make fun of my singing talent. I can't sing. So I always say to them, it's a shame if I could sing, they could ask me to sing there and I would. Anyway.
I think they might be looking for a mega chair.
Very good quote that I saw today. Can you see it?
Oh, very nice. Just like that, the world will be like, oh, very sweet.
On those 2 nights, I think we should have Duffy Yomi shit in Heaton Park.
Oh, that's nice. See if we can get as many people to come.
If we can get, if we're allowed out then, I think we should have shit in the park. Just say park life did happen. I
think Corbyn said that, sure. Corbyn said those words, some of them.
Did he?
What?
One decent thing came out of him.
He takes credit for everything.
Very good, very, very nice. Okay, it's lucky with everything.
Michiel.
Yeah, what's up?
If you're into that Corbyn thing, that I read a couple of great articles about him in the Guardian actually today. About how
what about Corbyn?
Everything that's going on now. Like this is exactly how he wanted the country. Yeah,
it's weird.
And the NHS, no one listened to him. That's why it's the way it is.
He seems to have some mysterious powers then.
Right,
Moshe's not here to bump us off, so.
Michiel, do you want a sour stick?
I'll have a sour stick, lob it here.
No, we've got 5 minutes. We need to free it up for the rabbi's share in a few minutes.
Right, okay.
He's using it. No, we've got 5 minutes still.
We're going to act when it's finished the job. I'm telling you, we'll be somewhere when we're sickness, Saturday, when we're sickness, come to Shiur. Play the Shabbos when we're sickness, let's come to Shiur. Chashu. שיש עיניים אבוי, ושן אחת תפילום. לקח ייחוד תפילה עשה ציבום. אוכי עוס בדינו, דאפילו בשבס תמי לא יצורך, אם לא שבס ידנית, והבונו דתקוני, דחמו מסכנית, משור הקונו. Hello? Talk to me?